What are the ethical issues of climate change and international cooperation? In other words, what is China's or Taiwan's or even Japan's starting point for what is fair to, when we talk about addressing climate change, what is the fairest approach? Should we be thinking about what countries are capable of? Should we be thinking about the cost? Should we be thinking about, future generations and their rights, or even past, history of polluting? What's going to be the most sort of the top ethical issue that, I want to say East Asian economies are going to be thinking about, but maybe you want to address Japan, Taiwan, and China. What are some of the big issues?
I think the biggest issue is this debate between future and present. People who argue we have to mine the minerals, we have to do this and that for our own good. But the other would say, well, think about your children, grandchildren, then you probably have to find the optimal point between these two seemingly opposing choices. But I think as long as you have the will, you'll find an optimal point. You probably find more new approaches, which may not be economically that disastrous, even for the present or near future.
And do you see Japan and China or in Taiwan drawing from different traditions to make these trade-off decisions? I mean, in Japan we have this notion of mottainai, don't waste, for example. Also very big in Japan is efficiency. Efficiency is almost an ethic of work. And meanwhile, in China, according to some of the people we interviewed in Beijing, there is a multi-layered of sources for ethical reflection. One is the Confucian past. Another one is the socialist traditions and thinking about equity. And the third is taking the best from the world, right? What do you see as being the traditions that might emerge for countries to actually make these decisions?
Japan has been, or rather China has been buying from Japan environmental related technology. And of course for China, one of the major philosophy influencing China for 1,000 years is so-called Taoism. In that philosophy, human beings should be in harmony with nature. And I think that concept can lead China in the future to go to the very modern with new technology to improve the environment.
And will these ethical traditions also guide China's approach to the world, generally speaking?
I think slowly. Although China now, in terms of environmental, is not showing a very good record, but I think the trend is switching and gradually shifting, especially from higher up in Beijing. The top leadership is aware of that importance.